Hello everyone and welcome back to my F1 2021 My Team career for the round in Canada, round 3 of the championship. So let's hope for some action in this round to cover in this episode. That racer really does look like a candy cane. Oh goodness. Anyway, into qualifying 1 and we'll see what we can do around this circuit. Canada has always been a circuit I'm a bit 50-50 about. It's not my favourite, but it's decent, and yeah, we should be able to do something good here, so long as we get the lap together. You can see a few mistakes in already, but we move on then to the Wall of Champions chicane, taking a lot of curb on the right-hander there as we lose the control on the exit. But anyway, we cross the line, and that lap is no good. We're currently at the bottom of the timing sheet, so we go out again, and hopefully this lap will be a little bit better and we do improve, but the lap is still no good and we still sit at the bottom of the table. So we go again for a third flying lap. This is now towards the end of the session, and we'll see what we can do on this lap, because we're running out of time. We need to get something representative on the board, because right now we just don't have a lap that we can bank on. So as we go through the Wall of Champions chicane for the third time in Q1, we come across the line, and that will eventually move us up the board, but only into 17th position, and we are knocked out in Q1, unfortunately for us. So that is the end of qualifying, 1 position ahead of our teammates, so maybe our car just doesn't have the pace this weekend. Giovinazzi, Latifi, Schumacher and Mazepin are also knocked out in this session, with George Russell and Kimi Räikkönen doing a good job to get through. So with all that said, let's just move on into the race and see what the Canadian Grand Prix has in store.
We're back once again beside the St. Lawrence River here in Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix. The event first moved to a variant of this track back in 1978. It was won by none other than Gilles Villeneuve, the first Canadian to ever win his home race, and in whose honour the circuit would be renamed. It's a tricky circuit to tackle in wet conditions, with top speed still of critical importance down the long back straight. There are 2.7 miles and 14 corners overall on a circuit that in the dry can see average lap speeds of around 130 miles per hour. We'll be lucky to get anywhere near that today. And as always, a man with plenty of racing experience joins me in the commentary box. Today it's Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, you're no stranger to surviving the melee of turn 1. So how do you keep out of trouble when there's so much going on around you?
Well, the throttle goes both ways, Crofty. You've got to have the discipline not to try and win the race on the first lap. So always be prepared to lift early and give those around you more space. Trying to be the last of the late breakers with half a dozen cars around you may pay off from time to time, but it's also a great way to lose your front wing.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Norris, Daniel Ricciardo and Perez, Leclerc, Sainz, Vettel and Pierre Gasly, Stroll, Fernando Alonso, Esteban Ocon and Tsunoda, Räikkönen, Russell, the Scientist and Nobuharu Matsushita, Giovinazzi, Latifi, Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
I will not let you down, Jeff, as we have a look at the strategy. Intermediates for the start of this one, but it's going to dry up in a matter of about 5 minutes, and then the rain may return later on, so it's going to be an interesting race as we get ready to go to the 5 red lights. And away we go for the Canadian Grand Prix, and it's an okay start for us, pretty equal with George Russell. So let's see what we can do down towards the first corner, up the inside of a bunch of cars, and we're going to gain a few places here and try and find our way towards the points, but no Esteban Ocon. We run into the back of the Frenchman, and that's damaged our front wing already in this race, and that's going to require a lap 1 pit stop, the worst kind of pit stop. The virtual safety car is out for the front wing laying on the circuit, so that will potentially minimize the loss for us, but yeah, You can see on the replay camera here, the front wing just completely gone from the car. There's no way we can continue like that, and we're going to need to do a pit stop on this first lap. The virtual safety car ends though before we even get to the pit lane, so that's a disaster for us because we're not even going to have the chance to do that stop under the virtual safety car. It'll be under green flag conditions as Latifi gets past, squeezes us to the inside. We're trying to get back to the left and get into the pit lane. We eventually do so, but Latifi was really getting in our way there. To be fair, we did give him a good old squeeze towards the wall, so understandably he would have been a bit agitated about that. We had to try and split through the middle there, but we managed to do so. Charles Leclerc is also in the pits on lap 1, so he also must have been involved in a bit of chaos down at turn 1, and he gets a new front wing on that Ferrari. We come in as well, of course, and get our front wing replaced, and we can push on once again through the rest of this race. I don't know what we can do from here. We've lost all kinds of track position. No advantage to pitting now because everyone's going to run on inters until the track dries up later, so there's no way this stop can sort of save us any trouble later. So yeah, just have to make up for probably what's more than a half a lap disadvantage that we've got here. So yeah, let's just push on and see what we can do. Meanwhile, up the road, Nobuharu Matsushita's day is going just about as well as ours. He retires from the race with a mechanical failure, and the Japanese driver, our teammate, is out of the race. So very unfortunate for him, but it's a free position for us. We move on then all the way on to lap number 17 in this race. That's how long nothing has happened. Since something has happened, I should say, in this race, and the rain should be stopping soon, so it lasted a lot longer than I expected it to, but anyway, that is what's happening in this race now, and eventually we do start catching up to the cars in front after so long of driving alone in this race. We have Nikita Mazepin in front of us to contend with, so let's see if we could overtake the Russian as we head up the inside from a long way back into the first corner, but we get the move done pretty well actually, and Mazepin leaving us some space on the inside to use. So great driving there from Mazepin to even see us coming there, because we came from a long way back. Look at this, it's a miracle he saw us in the mirrors, because that would have been a crash on the apex if he didn't leave space there. So well done to him for seeing that coming and avoiding the incident. We continue on, and we actually go up the inside of Charles Leclerc just about, and we let him go because we're not going to get the move done here. But Charles Leclerc struggling in this race as well to get through the traffic. He took a long time to overtake Nikita Mazepin as well. He's just not having a great day here in Canada, so hopefully his fortunes improve. But also for us, because we need to try and get a move on and make some overtakes. So Leclerc is our first target. We do just about get past him and squeeze through the wall of championship again. Tried our best to leave him some space, but he backed out of it, and we're able to take the position. We continue on, and as we go up the inside of Schumacher into the pit lane, we take out the speed limit board. Schumacher retakes the position as we slot back into line, but that was very close to a major incident. And that is Nikita Mazepin continuing on despite the track being dry. So second driver treatment at Haas is not great. But here's the replay. We were just too late on the brakes into the pit lane, and we had to take avoiding action from Mick Schumacher. Somehow we didn't speed into pit lane. That was a miracle in and of itself. But anyway, we get a new set of tyres on and leave the pit lane, and oh, that's a little bit close there with the Williams car. But anyway, we continue on. That is Nicholas Latifi, but yes, we continue on, and that is how we overtook Nicholas Latifi. Another big dive on the next lap, but yeah, that was a nice move on Latifi, and now we can continue to push on. So here we go then, and we go up the inside and make the move stick against the Alfa Romeo car of Antonio Giovinazzi. Kimi Raikkonen is further up the road. He is actually having a pretty decent race as we continue to fight with Antonio Giovinazzi, and he manages to hold on to the position for the time being. And we're going to try and go up the inside, and we'll make the move stick on the Italian finally, and we move ourselves up into 16th position. Not a great place to be running, honestly, in this race.
Russell's
Expected
just
more.
ahead. Push for the position. Okay, gap ahead is 8.2 seconds.
And George Russell is up next, so let's see if we can chase him down. There's a big gap, but I think we'll be able to do it over time. But as we continue on, a bad run out of the final corner, and that allows Charles Leclerc to get through. We go back up the inside. No, not quite. We let Charles Leclerc go, trying to set up a good exit here, but there's not really an overtaking opportunity for a while around this circuit, so we're going to be stuck behind him for a little bit longer. But if we can hang in the DRS, we'll be able to tow along behind Charles Leclerc, and that's exactly what we do. And he's towed us all the way to the back of George Russell, so that was a nice phase of the race, just to be sitting behind the Ferrari. But now we need to try and both work our way past George Russell in tandem, and hopefully don't lose DRS assistance from Charles Leclerc, so he can continue to follow behind the Ferrari driver. So here we go then, Charles Leclerc trying to make the move on George Russell side by side into the final corner. Leclerc backs out, Russell holds onto the position as we head through the Wall of Champions chicane, and Russell continuing to try and hold off Charles Leclerc, who goes to the outside through the first corner. Can Charles Leclerc make the move all the way around the outside? Russell fighting him hard, and they're still going to keep this going through turn 2. Leclerc with the inside line, Russell with some good exit speed there though, and they're going to continue into the next chicane as they go side by side, and Leclerc finally gets the move done there and gets ahead of George Russell. Now we need to make the move down the inside. Russell sees us coming just about at the last moment there. He was ready to turn into the apex, but we just got the nose in enough for him to see us in the mirrors, and we get past George Russell, and now can set our sights on Charles Leclerc once again as we drift our way through the final corner. And now we've got the Mercedes car behind us, Valtteri Bottas leading this race, and he is going to get past. We have to let him pass with the blue flags, and that's Hamilton. He's run into us out of the race. Lewis Hamilton and George Russell into the back of Hamilton. His wheel is off as well. That's 2 cars just out of the race now in the one incident, and 2 of the one of the contenders in this race, Lewis Hamilton, plows into the side of us, just carried too much speed into the first corner, and George Russell, who we were fighting with for a moment there, has run into the back of Hamilton, and he is out of the race as well. The 2 teammates of next year have come together, and yeah, that is a disaster for both Lewis Hamilton and George Russell. Here's the onboard with Verstappen. He just about picks the gap to the inside of turn 2 and gets through there, but wow, that's a big incident. But anyway, we continue on, and we head into the pit lane. I really wanted to try and get the lead back, but unfortunately, or the lead lap back, but unfortunately that wasn't an option. We need to change our front wing as well after that incident. I'm not sure if it was from that incident or another bit of contact at some point, but somewhere along the line we had front wing damage and we needed to change that. So we've just given up a pile of track position, and we're back down and into 18th position at the moment. So we've got a lot of work to do.
18th place. Giovinazzi is ahead of you. Our gap to the car in front is 1.0 seconds. They're on old mediums. Mazepin is behind you. The gap is less than a second. They're on old mediums. 13 laps until your pit window is open. 34 laps to go.
And yeah, still a long way to go in this race. We're still about the halfway point of this one, or just under, just past the halfway point. But yeah, apologies if the race, this race looks to be a bit of a mess. It was very chaotic and kind of difficult to actually put this video together. But anyway, we get racing once again, and immediately the blue flags come out, and we're looking both forwards and backwards because we want to be making positions, but at the same time we don't want to get any penalties for disobeying the blue flags. So it's a bit of a weird phase of the race as we send ourselves off the road there, and now re-enter the circuit and lets the lead lap cars through. But we did actually manage to make an overtake there on Antonio Giovinazzi while we were off circuit. So Giovinazzi on circuit was even slower than we were in the grass there. But anyway, that's a strange phase of the race where we just need to keep our eyes both forwards and backwards. But Lance Stroll very, very slow through the hairpin there. We do have decent grip at the moment, so we're actually going to try and get the well, not the position, but the place on track back ahead of Lance Stroll, and we do that heading into the Wall of Champions because we just have better grip at the moment, and that is I think Mick Schumacher up ahead and getting out of the way as they're going to go 3 wide as they out up towards the first corner. Schumacher backs out, but then he sends it up the inside. Schumacher, he's collided with Pierre Gasly. Vettel's involved. We've run into the back of Vettel, and that's more front wing damage for us. That is a disaster, and I think Vettel might be out of the race as well from that. Look at the pace Schumacher carried into the first corner. He should not be that aggressive against cars on a different lap. Mick Schumacher causing a massive incident here, whacks into Pierre Gasly. Gasly spins, Vettel into the side of Gasly. Schumacher, Gasly, Vettel, myself. Lance Stroll was involved as well. All have damage now in this race, or are even out. Here's the onboard with Pierre Gasly, and that was nothing to do with him. He was minding his own business, taking his own line. Mick Schumacher comes steaming up the inside, and a big collision there, and very unfortunate. We had an illegal overtake on Pierre Gasly, and that's why we had to give that place back. There's the contact. Fernando Alonso involved as well as Schumacher drifted into the corner. Fernando Alonso getting a piece of the action too, so yeah, very unfortunate, but that's taken out a good number of cars in this race. Look at the speed on board with Sebastian Vettel there. The speed Schumacher carried into that apex. He barely hit the brakes. That was unbelievable. So yeah, big mistake there from Mick Schumacher, and that has caused absolute carnage down here at the first corner. Absolute disaster for Aston Martin. Both of their cars were involved in this. The AlphaTauris very much could have been the same, but Pierre Gasly, I think, will for the most part get away with it, and Yuki Tsunoda very patiently finds his way through as well. So AlphaTauri making the most of that situation, but yeah, that was a big crash with Mick Schumacher. I don't know what on earth he was doing, but
Bodywork's taken a few scrapes. Try not to make it any worse.
yeah, we have a bit of damage on our car now with the actual bodywork of the car, not just the front wing, so that's not something we can fix. That's something that we're going to have to contend with for the remainder of this race. So I don't know what part of the car actually is damaged, but nonetheless we do have damage that we have to contend with, potentially to the side pods or engine cover or something else on the car itself, not just the front wing, so it's not something we can just fix in an instant.
Keep an eye on your engine temperature. Cooling may be adversely affected.
And there's confirmation though that our side pods have been damaged, so potentially a bit of increased heat in the engine that could have a detrimental effect on its durability, but we're not going to worry about that too much. Once again, we actually stayed out an extra lap on the safety car to see if we could get the lead lap back, but no chance of that. We're still third in the queue with a few cars on the lead lap ahead of us, so yeah, that was no good. It was worth a try always, but yeah, unfortunately we just couldn't get that lead lap back still in this race, and now we're going to have to box for a new front wing. We also have a penalty, and this is for disobeying blue flags. I don't know exactly when that happened. There was a lot going on in that one lap stint of the race, but yeah, at some point in that lap we disobeyed the blue flags, so potentially that was re-overtaking Lance Stroll or something around that time, I'm not sure, but already that moment alone feels like forever ago, with all the chaos that happened down at the first corner that caused this very safety car. But anyway, we continue on and get back underway for green flag running, and now we'll see what we can do in this race with a fresh set of tyres, a fresh front wing, a little bit of damage to the side pods and maybe a few other bits and pieces on the car, but we'll see what we can do as we try and go around the outside, a little bit off circuit. We get past the Haas of Nikita Mazepin, and yellow flags are out as well as the blue flag cars that get out of the way. It causes yellow flags, which on average that means you put them together and you get green flags, which means we can overtake Nicholas Latifi, which we just did. Now as we continue on, we catch up to the man who caused all that chaos, Mick Schumacher, and we go around the outside into the final chicane, and we get past Mick Schumacher. How he is still in the race, I will never ever know. That was a massive crash that he had, and somehow he is still in the race, so that's a miracle for him and for Haas. But you can see we're continuing to try and get through the field. We're up the inside of Lance Stroll once again, and we get ahead of him. He is not having a good day, it has to be said. But now we're the leader out of the cars on... Actually, no, Lance Stroll's not on the lead lap after all that, so we could actually potentially catch Lance Stroll if we can gain an entire lap on him. Because, yeah, as it appears, Lance Stroll is not on the lead lap, but he's still a lap ahead of us. So we're going to continue the fight and continue to make our way through these cars because we have pace at the moment. We can actually take it to these cars on a different lap, but we have to just be very careful we don't get penalties for disobeying blue flags. So it's a balancing act, and as I've completely ignored so far, the rain is starting to come down and we're on slick tyres still, so the conditions are increasingly getting more difficult, and I am actually starting to lose a bit of pace at this point. You can see that is Lance Stroll getting it back past us, but we're going to dive it into the pit lane, and dive might be the right word in these conditions, and we'll see what we can do on the intermediate compound now. But anyway, let's go, and we'll see what we can do in the rest of this race, because yeah, it's been a very chaotic one so far. I've lost hope of getting back on the lead lap. I don't think it's going to happen, but you never know with races like this. We could probably end up winning the thing if we played our cards right, but yeah, for now we just need to watch out for the leaders coming through still, and as well as the cars on the same lap now, because I don't quite have the same pace in the rain as I did in the dry, and yeah, we're on the back foot now in this phase of the race. The pace just isn't quite there. We're going to see if we can re-overtake Lance Stroll as we get back up the inside of the Canadian here at his home race. It's turned out to be a bit of a disaster though for him, getting caught up in that incident with Mick Schumacher, and that is Fernando Alonso in the wall. Manages to continue, but Fernando Alonso has just spinned it along the straight, trying to be a little bit too clever with trying to make a late little move and overtake there, but that's actually brought out another safety car. So this is the third safety car, one for Mick Schumacher's incident, one for Hamilton's incident, and now one for Fernando Alonso's incident. So this is turning out to be a very, very long race with all these stoppages, as well as a VSC, so that's 4 in total, and maybe there'll be more, who knows. But we continue on, and we head into the pit lane because it's time for the wet compound tyres in this race. So yeah, not normal to go onto the full wets mid-race. Normally that's the thing you kind of start the race on until the track dries up a bit, but the rain's coming down so hard that despite so many cars running around on track, minus quite a few, there's a few out of the race from all the incidents, but yeah, it's not enough to clear the water, and we have to go into the full wets to move that water out of the way. So we continue on and get underway once again, and we're not having a great restart as the AlphaTauri car goes around the outside. We're trying to just let him through and just worry about our own fights and let Tsunoda do his own thing. But yeah, I'm just trying to get to the end at this point. There's not really anything to fight for. We've already scored points this season, so you know, if we finish 16th or 20th or 11th, you know, they're all worth the same. It's not going to make a difference. So we're just cruising to get to the end, more or less, in this race. We've damaged the car enough times and been involved in enough chaos. So yeah, it's just about getting to the end from here. And yeah, we're not going to really fight too hard in this portion of the race as we sit behind Antonio Giovinazzi. We try and go up the outside of Giovinazzi, but we bail out of that one and let the Italian retake that position because we overtook him off circuit, and that wouldn't be very nice if we held on to that. So yeah, we just let that one go. But yeah, we're really struggling in these conditions. The full wets have not been very kind to us. The visibility's bad, the traction's bad, and on top of that, the car's damaged as well. So we've got all the odds against us at this point. We're falling off the racetrack left, right and centre, and we're just trying to hold on to whatever track position we can, but it's not really not much at all. But anyway, we're right now battling away with Nicholas Latifi in the Williams car as he tries to make his way past and sits right behind us in the slipstream. Will he be able to make a move as we head up towards the next chicane? Not quite going to get there, but he gets past in the middle sector later on. So yeah, that is that battle done and dusted. So we have to now focus on the next car behind us, and that is Charles Leclerc, and he very quickly becomes the next car ahead of us. The Ferrari gets passed along the straight, and we once again just slot in behind and continue on our way as we head through turn 2. Though a pile of understeer, the car not turning in at all, and we've just taken off our own front wing. What on earth was that? That was just an embarrassing crash there for us, just ploughing into the wall with no real excuse. Yeah, I don't know what that was about. I honestly, like, you could see how slow we were going through that corner, but clearly not slow enough. We just didn't have anywhere near the turn in I thought we would, and we just ploughed straight ahead into the wall, and that was the end of that front wing. So we get another front wing on the car. I've lost count of how many we've used in this race. There's another safety car out. That's just regular at this point, the 4th one of the race. Insanity, but yeah, we can't even drive on a safety car properly. That's another spin, and well, not another spin, that's our first spin, but another incident for us.
Safety car in this lap. Let's make sure those tyres are up to temperature, and remember, there is no overtaking until the timing line. Stay in position until the green flags.
And that was almost another incident as we caught up to the back of the train a little too quickly there. But yes, now we need to get a move on. We're last of the running cars, and we've got Nicholas Latifi and Nikita Mazepin in front of us. So can we at least overtake these two by the end of the race? Let's hope that we can do that. We are on fresh wet compound tyres, so that could help us. So let's see what we can do. We're going to try and line up a nice exit here on Nicholas Latifi. So let's see, we do seem to have a decent amount of traction there out of the hairpin. So can we make a move on Latifi? We were a little bit far back, but we might be able to do it heading into the wall of champion chicane, sitting in the slipstream. We're going to go for the move down the inside of Nicholas Latifi, and we get the move done, just about squeezing through there, and we get ahead of the Canadian, who now runs last in his home race. So it's been a bit of a disaster for both Canadians. Lance Stroll involved in that incident with Mick Schumacher as well, through no fault of his own, it should be said. But anyway, now we've got Nikita Mazepin up ahead. We go up the inside of the Russian here into the middle sector, and we get ahead of him and find our way up and into a whopping 16th position, where we now sit in this race. Meanwhile, up ahead, no issues for Lando Norris, who wins his first race in Formula 1. Lando Norris, race winner for McLaren. Great drive here from him in this race, and we are going to come through for 16th position here at the Canadian Grand Prix. We cut the final corner, a lot of wheel spin on the exit, and now Mazepin's actually got a good run on us. He might go to the inside, he might get a move done here, but not quite enough time, and we managed to hold on to that position. But that's quite possibly one of the worst races I've ever had in a Formula 1 game. That was an absolute disaster, and we still get driver of the day.
Another race and another win for McLaren. And talk to me, what do you think it was that sealed the win for them?
Well, they clearly have a car that comes alive in the kind of conditions we were dealing with today. It's a very balanced package in the wet, and what that means is that the drivers have confidence to attack. And having that confidence gets you on the power earlier, it lets you brake later, and can put you a long way up the road.
And look at that, they're making their way out onto the podium now. Great race from the McLaren team, and I'm really happy to see them there on the top step of the podium.
So Lando Norris wins the Canadian Grand Prix for McLaren. Max Verstappen, good points for his championship in 2nd position, and Daniel Ricciardo makes it a double podium for the Woking team. He finishes 3rd.
Then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. Lando Norris takes over the lead of the Drivers' Championship After that excellent result, some amazing talent out on the track today. But Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
I have to give it to the scientist. There was a lot going on all down the field, but they were the only one who I really felt maximised their potential.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. McLaren supplant the previous leaders, taking control of the championship. Meanwhile, AlphaTauri's strong weekend allows them to continue their march up the table. Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
Wow. Lando Norris, championship leader. He is on a roll this season. The McLaren driver really maximising his points from the first 3 races. And wow, that is spectacular from the young British driver in I believe his 3rd season in Formula 1, leading the championship for McLaren in a car that is certainly not the fastest, but the misfortunes of the Mercedes and Red Bull drivers through the season so far have led to him sitting in a very, very lofty position. So, wow, that is well played for Lando Norris. I almost said Fernando there, but yeah, wow, that is crazy. And McLaren as well, with Ricciardo's podium, taking the lead of the Constructors' Championship with such a short calendar. That is not insignificant. You know, maybe they won't hold on to first, but you know, they could hold on to second or definitely a third as at a minimum with such a great start to the season. You know, that you know, base of points to build on throughout the rest of the season so important that it could really be a good season and something special for McLaren with this moment. With especially the shortened calendar as well, just 16 races. I mean, the next race will be a quarter of the way through the season, so yeah, crazy stuff by Lando Norris, Daniel Ricciardo and the McLaren team to bring home such strong results so far. But anyway, as we change our focus though, I don't know what actually happened to Valtteri Bottas. When he lapped us, he was in the lead, and he ended up well down the order and only scoring a handful of points in this race, so something obviously went wrong for him on the strategy front, because yeah, that was a pretty awful result for Bottas. I'm not even going to talk about our race because it was disgusting, to be honest. I don't know what on earth we yeah, it all went wrong from the moment we were lapped by Bottas, really. I mean, from the first corner when we hit the back of Ocon, to be honest. But, you know, we could have recovered from that. But, yeah, we were lapped by Bottas. Hamilton hit us, and it was all downhill from there. We never really had a chance of doing anything more. We got caught up in Mick Schumacher's incident as well. So, yeah, nothing went our way this time. So that brings the Canadian Grand Prix weekend to a close. Pretty disastrous. We have Pierre Gasly as our rival, and we do not beat him by any stretch of the imagination with that awful race. But it can't get much worse than this, surely. If this is the low point of the season for us, and we can build upwards from here, I'll take that. It was still a 16th place finish, which in ordinary circumstances it'd be average, but it wouldn't be horrible. Of course, with Hamilton and Vettel out of the race and a few other fast cars, maybe we should have you know, done a bit more. Who else was out? Russell and my teammate would normally be ahead of them, I suppose, but yeah. Anyway, we continue on and sort out the activity timeline between now and the next event, which I believe is probably the French Grand Prix. I'm not sure. We'll have to find out in a moment. But yeah, we need to do better than this because that, like I was saying, was just awful. So yeah, we'll see what we can do in the next event on the calendar, but for now we'll see what we can do in terms of R&D and improving the car. We didn't get our sponsor objective in that race. We didn't get that money for getting one Constructors Championship point, so that's unfortunate. But anyway, we will take a look. We don't really have the money to do any facility upgrades at the moment, so there's not a lot of work we can do in that area as we scroll through our options, but there's nothing we can work on, so that's unfortunate. Again, that sponsor money would have been very, very useful, but anyway, we'll take a look at the R&D now. So for the durability department, we're going to go for this improved materials upgrade for the ICE. In the power unit department, we're going to go for this ignition systems upgrade for more power, and we will do a chassis upgrade, a weight redistribution upgrade to the energy store cells. And other than that, then we'll just continue through the timeline until the next event and see if any of those upgrades come on. I don't think any of them are due until at least Austria, but we do have a few upgrades on their way, and the first one of those is to the roll dampers. That was successful, and that'll be on the car for the French Grand Prix. We continue to go through, and we'll see if the next one that comes in will be successful, and it is. That is a rear wing upgrade, extra downforce for us, I believe that's for, and that will be helping us out around the tricky corners of the French Grand Prix. So both of those upgrades potentially very important for the Paul Ricard circuit, so they were well timed in that regard. Paul Ricard's a bit of an all-round circuit. You need a bit of everything. There's long straights, long corners to sharp corners, so yeah, there's really no hiding from a bad car at Paul Ricard. But anyway, there is the current standings of the R&D. It'll change up a little bit actually with the performance patch that has come in since recording this episode, and that'll be in effect I believe for the next round, so that could potentially mix things up as well. But anyway, other than that, then there is not too much else left to cover, so thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time for the French Grand Prix. Goodbye.